Let me start the recording. Okay, somebody started. Okay, fine. So good evening, guys. So we will continue the Python session. Okay. Okay. So today we'll be having a Python session 2 today, right? In the last session, we had an introduction with the variables, right? Or how variables are there, what is the use of the variables, right? And whenever you're using any variables, like for example, suppose I have some variable, something like a is equal to 10. Okay, so it is just a simple variable, right? Some variable name a you're taking and you are assigning some value to that variable, right? So similarly, suppose I have a variable p, you are assigning some variable, something like a lumen. So lumen is basically a string actually, right? It's a string, or it's a, it's an array of characters, right? So we call it as a string basically, right? So you can assign any type of value to the variable actually in Python actually. Okay, so a is equal to 10 like that, or else something like c is equal to 10.35, right? Now what we discussed in the last session is that you can use a simple variable like this, or you can even use some word like this, and you can assign some value for this, right? But what I said, right, whenever you are using any variables, whenever you're using some variable names, you cannot use the variable name of any keywords or the function names, correct? Suppose there is a function by name print, you know that I cannot use a print function to assign some value actually. Python will throw a syntax saying that this print is a function name. So either it will be a built-in function, or it is a module level function. You remember we discussed all these things, or else you have some user-defined function. You cannot make use of any of the function as a variable name while defining a variable, right? So you have to use, apart from the function, apart from the keywords, or apart from the any other special characters, right? You cannot use those things. Like for example, I cannot have a variable with something like a star, right? So star is equal to something, right? Like this. You cannot have the star or ampersand. These are special characters you can have. So, and also you cannot start any variables with the numerical character. You cannot have something like this. 100a is equal to lumen. It is not possible like this. Whereas you can have the same variable like this. A100 is equal to like this. This is allowed because here the variable name is starting with a character. It is not starting with a number. So that is one thing. And the third thing what we discussed, that we cannot start any variable name with any special character like star, ampersand, like that. You can only start a variable with the underscore. That's the only thing which is allowed in the Python. You can have underscore, right? Underscore a is equal to something. You can assign any value like this. So this is possible. Okay, underscore. Whereas a star a like this, the Python will throw an error, syntax error like this. So this and all we had discussed in the our previous session. These all are required, guys. Whenever you are working on Python, these are all some rules and regulations, and the syntax you need to remember. Okay, fine. So this is what we discussed in the first session actually. So what we are going to do today, we have to learn about the type of variables. What are the data types of variables? What are the different data types we have in Python? Basically, in Python, we have 14 types of data types, actually, 14 types. So this is what it is done. Wait. Okay, so we will be learning about this 14 different data types. Okay, these are the most important, guys, 14 types of data types. This is what it is required. Okay, whenever you want to start learning Python, you need to understand this. What are these 14 different data types? How to make use of these 14 different data types in your Python or in your Python programming? This is what it is important. This itself will take around. If you want to really learn all these data types, right? We can work. We can cover up to 2 to 3 sessions or 4 sessions on this. But since we have a time constraint, what I will try to do, I will try to cover all these different data types max in 2 sessions, or in 3 sessions I will cover. Okay, so it will take 2 to 3 hours just to learn. And if you open any Python book or any PDF on Python, right, you would see that they have elaborately given this 14 types data types, different data types, and how to make use of in your programming and all. They have given it elaborately. So it is a very big, topic to be covered. But since we have having a time constraint, I'll not be really exploring everything and explaining you. I will just tell you fundamentals and few basic example I will show you, because we need to move forward, right, with the learning Python programming. So all these 14 data types are required. Okay, all these 14 data types are required. So what are those 14 data types? So those 14 data types are, okay, Python variable data types. These are very important, guys. Okay, so the data types are int, float, complex, and we have bool, we have a list, you have str, you have a tuple, we have a set, we have a frozen set, we have a dict, or we call it a dictionary, we have a range, we have a bytes, we have a byte array, and finally we have a variable by name, with a data type by name none. So these are the 14 data types, guys. Actually, we have. These are the 14 data types, and each and every data type is very important. You need to learn all these data types actually. And each and every data type, right, you need to understand how to make use of these data types in my programming. Actually, very important. We have to learn all these things. This is the fundamental of Python. The Python fundamental starts from the data type itself. Actually. Okay, so now let's see how to make use of these data types. Now, for example, now you might ask me the question, Rajesh, why we have to learn this data type? Suppose, for example, while doing a programming, do you have to define a data type of the variable? It is not really required, because suppose if you see in any other language, programming language, like for example, if you are using in a C language, if you're working on C or Python language, or in Java programming language, we have to define the data type of the variable. It means that suppose you are defining a variable A. See, the first most important thing we had discussed in our previous session, that why we are using a variable. What is the use of the variable? We said that variable is something like it's a label that assigns some value. You say that, Rajesh, I have a program. I need to pass some value by name 100 to the program. I need to pass a value 100 to the program. How you are going to pass that value to the 100 as a value to the program? You cannot pass like that, right? How the program will accept the value 100 from it? It can only accept the value from a input or from a user if you are passing that value to some variable actually. So you say that, okay, how I have to pass 100 value to the Python? Oh, I'll say that A is equal to 100 like that. Okay, fine. So in this way, we are actually giving an input to your program saying that, oh, I'm just passing 100 value with the help of a variable actually. And that variable name is A actually. Right. So now, so what is happening is that actually when you are passing a value 100, how the Python will know that it is an integer, what you are passing? It can understand in any type, right? So that's the reason what happened, right? For every variable, no, you have a data types, we say. It means that what type of value you are passing it. So this A is a variable name and this 100 is a value, right? This 100 is a value and this value is something, it is of some data type value. Now, as a normal user, if I see this value A as 100, you say that rather A is 100. It is not, it's a string, it is, sorry, it's an integer. You're passing an integer value. Okay, fine. You say that, Rajesh, like this. B is equal to lumen. As a human, you will understand. Oh, Rajesh, B means, oh, it's you are assigning a value that is lumen. Lumen is something like a string, or it is a set of characters, we say, or it is an alphabet, you say in the normal English word. Yes, this is of a type, not just string type, str, string type. Correct. Same thing like that. You will say that C is equal to 10.05. So by seeing this, you will say that, oh, 10.05 is a float value, or that, oh, there is some real value, real, like real number 10. dot notation there. Or wherever you see any integer with a dot represented, it means that it's a float value, you will say. Okay, you are defining. So this could be a float value, you will say. This is a float value, you will say. So what happened for each and every programming language, what happened that there will be a variable data type should be there. It means that whenever you are using any variables, first you need to define to the program saying that what is that variable type. So that's the reason what happened in the C language or in many other languages, right? We have to first define what is a variable data type. Suppose there you are saying that Rajesh, in C language, I want to use a variable by name A and I want to pass the value 10. How to use it? First, you have to define a variable. What is a variable type? That is int. Int means integer. Okay, fine, integer. And then what happened that you have to just give the assign like this. A is equal to 10. Like this, you will give it. It means that first you need to define what is a variable name or what is a data type, variable type, variable A type, and then you have to pass what is a value for it. Or else you can even directly do in one shot like this. You can do. So you are defining a variable A of a type int and the value is 10. Like that also you can do in C. So for each and every variables, whatever you're using, first you need to define a type. Like for example, here you say that Rajesh char is a variable is a data type character actually, and you will say like this. Will say like this. So what is this character? Character is one of the data type. So there are 4 to 5 data types are there in the C language. Like for example, you have an int, you have a char, you have a float, you have a long, and you have a double like this. Of course, you have a pointer also that I'm not discussing. Pointer variable like pointer, right? So like this, we are having different data types. So with this data type, you are telling to a program that what type of variable is it? Is it a char? If the variable B is a character array, or whether A is an integer, or whether some variable C is equal to float, that you have to define it first. Then only the program will accept that variable. Otherwise, the program will not accept. So what happened that here you're statistically telling to your C program or to the Java program that what is the variable type. Whereas here in your Python, you are not doing like that. Can you see here? So I'll get into the Python. See, I'm into the Python shell now. So this we call the Python shell, correct? Now, if I say A is equal to 10, you might say, Rajesh, where you're defining A is equal to 10? Okay, you will say that by seeing it, you say that Rajesh, 10 is an integer and you're assigning to variable A. I need to print it. I'll say print A like this. You're printing the value, correct? Now, what is this type variable A type? Is it an integer? It is a float or it is str? It's a tuple. What type of it is? Hey, it's an integer, man. By looking at it, I'll say how you prove that it is an integer. There's a function named type. If it's a type A, you could see that it is an integer. Similarly, if I say B is equal to lumen like this is not, but it's a string, right? If I do a type of B, see, it is a stat. The class is it is str. You could see here it's an str data type. Okay. Now C is equal to 100.70. See what is the type? First we'll print it, the C value. Now you could see the type of C. See, it's a float. Correct, guys? So in this way, type is a function. It will tell you what type of value it is. Is it a float or is it a string or is it an integer? Is it clear, guys? Any doubts you have or any questions you have till here?
No, Rajesh.
So what I'm trying to tell you that you are not defining what type of variable it is or what is the data type of that variable. You're just directly assigning a value to some variable. Internally, Python is so intelligent that it is understanding what type of variable it is. Whether it's a string, whether it's a float, or whether it's a integer. This is what we call the dynamic assigning of a data type to a variable. So Python is a dynamic programming. Whereas C or any Java or static program, it means that you need to first define what type of variable it is. Then only the compiler will understand. Here you need not to even say anything in a Python. That is a beautiful in Python, that you need not to assign any data type for that particular variable. You can just directly use that variable in a program. Python itself will understand what type of value it is actually. Okay, so that's the reason, guys. So we'll be using the type function. Okay. Now comes, okay, so this you understood, right? Now we have to understand one by one all these data types, guys. This is very important. I will tell you the Python, right? The whole 100% Python, 10% of the Python you need to understand very, very effectively. The first 10% of the Python, you need to understand all this very data type. Rest all other 90% of the Python will become very easy as you keep going on learning the Python. Okay, so that's what I'm learning Python, right? I could able to understand, right, how effectively these variables are being used in your Python program. We have to understand everything because a lot of users will do a lot of mistakes in the variables only. So you need to understand all the rules and all what type of variable it is, how to make use of that program, everything. A few other things they have to know it very carefully when they are working on variables. Okay, so now what is happening that we have to understand about the int type actually. What is an int? So this is the first thing what we'll be understanding, the int type. This one. So we call it as an integer also, or else we can even call it as an int. Int or integer is one of the same actually. Some people call it as an integer, some they call it as int only. Okay. Now, so as I said, like whenever you want to make use of the way, whenever you want to pass a value, all right, as an integer, you can use any variable. Like you can say a is equal to 10, b is equal to 100, c is equal to 1000, right? You can pass any value to a variable. So this Python will internally understand that these are all are integer type. Now, when you are passing this value, what happened that always the always Python will take the integer inputs as a decimal value. It always, this you have to always understand. And also Python will return the return the output in decimal value, in the decimal format only. So this is very important, guys. So whenever you are giving an integer value, always it takes with the decimal type. Decimal means what it is in a base 10, right? Whatever you're using 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 up to 9, right? These are decimal, right? So integer also they are having four different types of integers. You are having four different types actually. This is also very important, which will be using heavily in our Python programming. The first part of the integer type is nothing but your decimal actually. So decimal is nothing but we call it as a base 10. Okay, and the value is from 0 to 9. You know this very well. What are the other data types you have? Other integer types you have? You have a decimal and you have something as a binary. Binary, we call it as a base 2 also. The binary will be either 0 or 1, right? It could be between 0 and 1. You cannot have any other value. For the binary, you cannot have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Only 0 was or 1s only, right? So similarly, what you'll have, you will have what is it? You're having octal, right? Octal. Octal is nothing but it is a base 8. And the value will always be from 0 to 7. Right? So many integers you have seen that you are passing an octal value actually. And the last is nothing but you are having a hexadecimal actually. Hexadecimal, hexadecimal format. And the hexadecimal format is nothing but it is a base 16. And the value is from 0 to 9. Okay. And the next it will start from A to F actually, where A is nothing but the value 10. B is nothing but the value 11, C is nothing but the value 12, D is nothing but the value 13, E is equal to the value 14, and F is nothing but the value 15. So this is what it is actually, hexadecimal. Like this. We'll see an example of all these things. So integer also, they are divided across these four data types. Actually. Okay. So now, for example, if you say that, okay, Rajesh, I'll do one thing. I will have a value something like a is equal to some value something. You say. So this is an integer type actually. And what type of format it is? What integer type? It is a decimal type.
Sorry to interrupt, Rajesh bhai, can you just increase the font size? In CMD command prompt.
The font side, okay. I'll increase it. Okay, font
20. Yeah. Thank you,
now.
Rajesh. Yeah, thank
Now,
you.
okay.
Yeah, it's
Fine.
clear.
So now, yeah, now you could see that A is equal to some value I was assigned, right? What format it is taking? It is actually taking in decimal format. If I do a print of A, it will give me the output as the same value. So this is in a base 10 in decimal format actually. Okay. Suppose you say that Rajesh, A is equal to like in the base format, you should always the base is zeros and ones, right? So you will say that Rajesh, there is something like A is equal to 1 1 1 1. Like 0 1 0 1. This 1 1 1 actually the base format. This 1 1 1 is nothing but it is 15 value actually. But here, if you are giving an input, what the Python will think that you are actually giving in a decimal base only. In the decimal format only you are giving. So if you say enter, you will say it will give the same value. But you are expecting that you are actually giving in a binary format actually. But as I said, right, Python will not understand it is a binary or it is a hexadecimal octal. It only understand everything as a decimal only. That's what it is taking as a decimal. Even if you give a type A, now you could see it is taking in an int format only, integer only. Correct. Now you say that Rajesh, I want to print, I want to give an input as a binary. Then in that case, what you have to do? You have to just say, you have to just start with a 0 and you have to give B binary. You can either give small b or capital B, both are same. B and you'll give 1 1 1 1 like this, 4 ones. Now you print the value A. Now you could see that it is printing 15 value. So you are giving 1 1 1, but this 1 1 in binary what? It is the value is 15 only, right? Correct. So now you just, even if you give a type of what is a type of variable, still it will show the int only, because all this decimal, binary, octal, everything will come under the fall under the int data type only. It will not show here as a binary. No, not like that. All these are the different, different representation of the integer only, right? Similarly, what happened right here? You are giving an integer, you are giving a binary, right? Like, how do you do? Like, how do you check whether it is 15 or not? You can say, just say, see, decimal to or binary to decimal converter. I can go to this binary to decimal converter. See, binary to decimal, binary is 1 1 1. And the decimal value is 15. Okay. How it is 15? Or else we'll go with this link actually, rapid table. So this will give you the calculation also. What happened? Yeah. See, the binary to decimal. So I'll give 1 1 1 1. What happened, guys? So you're giving 1 1 1. Now you could see that it is converted to the decimal actually. See, the value is 15. But how it is calculating? If you know mathematics, you know, right? See, 2 to the power of 0, 2 to the power of 1, 2 to the power of 2, 2 to the power of 3, right? You're giving 1 1 1, right? So it will calculate in this way and it is giving, right? Now you will say that Rajesh, I want to print 2022, year 2022, but I want to give the input as in a binary format. So what I have to do? What is a decimal? Decimal I want to convert into the binary. Okay, what is a binary decimal I want to give? You want to give 2022. How to convert into the binary? See, you got this value. Can I give this value? Yes, you can give this value. See, A is equal to 0. I'll use capital B and I will paste it like this. So what is this value? This complete value. This is nothing but 2020, right? If I do a print of A, see, it will give me the 2022. So now you might ask Rajesh, why we are giving like this? Why I am giving represented? This is just to encrypt, guys. Suppose like in a programming, you don't want to tell the actual value. Suppose if I say A is equal to 2022, anybody can see the value, right? They can understand how 2022 is, but he is actually passing an integer. But you want to hide it for some security purpose. So you can pass a value as an integer, either as a binary or either as a octal or either as a hexadecimal. Any different type you can pass it, just to make sure that you are providing some kind of a security within your within your Python programming. That's what we'll be passing it. Okay. So that's what it is. And now what happened, right? Now that stuff is that what is a simple mistake the people will do? Like you will just say that Rajesh, I want to pass a binary as 15. Okay, fine. I'll just say A is equal to 0, B, 1, 1, 1. This is the 15 value, right? If I do a print also, it will show me the 15 value only. Correct. Now suppose some people will do A is equal to 0, B, 1, 1, 1, or instead of 1, 1, 1, they'll say 1, 2, 3. This is wrong, right? Because binary, you cannot have, apart from zeros and you cannot have 2, 3 and all, right? Here, you're doing a mistake. Either you have to pass 0 or 1. So 2, 3 is not a binary form, right? So this is a syntax error. This is the some small mistake, common mistake usually people will do. So you have to understand very carefully by seeing that, hey, how 2 and 3 can be sent, man? Because 2 and 3 are not binary. Binaries are but zeros and ones, right? So like that. Similarly, what you're doing here, whenever you want to pass any octal value. So let me clear the screen. Clear is not there. So I'll just say B is equal to, okay, 0. The second type is nothing but your octal actually. So octal is but the base 8 or zeros and sevens actually, right? So I'll say that 0 octal, either you can use small o or either you can use capital O, anything, and you can pass any value like this. See? Print P. See? It is giving me some number, right? Same thing, you can go here in the net, you can give octal to the decimal actually, and you can just copy this 1, 2, 3, 4 like this, whatever is there, right? You can just paste it, convert it. See, you got the same value, right? 2182947. It has converted to the binary format. So as I said earlier, the inputs you can give it anything, but what the Python will do, Python will always give an output as a binary, as a decimal only. So that's what you could see that always Python will return the output in a decimal format only. Now the question will come, Rajesh, I'm giving an input as a base, as a binary. I want to get the output as a binary only. I don't want to get the output as some other decimal. Then there is something, no, there's one discussion, there is something as a base conversions are there, which I'll be covering later on. You say that, Rajesh, I'll be giving an input as a decimal only, but always I should get the output as a octal only always. I don't want to get as any other format. Then we will be using some kind of a base conversion functions you'll be using always to make sure that always the output you should get in some particular format only. This we will see later. Okay. So that's what. And here what happens, same thing. In you say that, Rajesh, in octal, with the help of an octal, I want to display 2020. Okay, you will be giving a value as a decimal 2020, but you need to get the output as an octal actually. So convert it. See, this is the octal format, right? 2020 convert. See, 3468 is an octal actually. You can see here the conversion also. Okay, see here it has shown the conversion, how the conversion happens. Like this, they have shown you actually. Okay, so now I will copy this octal. You know very well that I'll just say C is equal to 0, capital O. Okay, and give this what is the value we printed? 3746. See, now when I do a print of C, you know very well that it will print 2022. Right? So here you are giving same 2022 with this octal format. 3746. How the conversion happening? You can see this here. But here you should make sure that while giving an octal, right? Oh, you cannot give a value beyond 8, right? I cannot give a value something like a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 up to 9. I cannot give you the 9 because 9 is beyond the 8, right? 0 to 7, right? Or even 8 is beyond 7, right? 8, 9, 3. This is a syntax error, right? You cannot give because 8 and 9 doesn't fall under octal. Octal is what? 0 to 7. See? Octal is 0 to 7. You can only give the values up to 7, 0 to 7. Right? Similarly, hexadecimal. D is equal to hexadecimal. For hexadecimal, always you should use 0 x, small x or capital X. Anything can use like this, and you can give the value, and you can give like this A, B, C, E, F. I'll just say print of D. See, you give the value. You can even copy the same thing. Copy this over here. Hexadecimal to the decimal. Convert this value. See, you got the same value. Where is it, guys? I did copy something wrong. 232 A B C D print D. How it is printing is 1 to binary. Sorry, I wrote it wrong. Not sorry, decimal only, no hexadecimal, right? Okay, what is it? 232 the everything. Convert. Oh, it is showing. It is showing now. It is showing correct. So this is what it is, guys. Actually, okay. Same thing. You can even convert a decimal to the hexadecimal. Suppose I want to give an input as 2020. How to convert it? You have to give this 760 like this. D is equal to 0. X you have to use either capital X or small x. Give this 7E6, which is nothing but it is 2020. Right. Okay. Now now what is happening that in all this, see, have you ever defined what type of variable it is? You're not defining it. You're directly giving a value to a variable. Python is internally understanding what type of value, what type of data type it is. It is understanding that it is integer. Here, if you do type D also now, still it will take as an integer only. See, it is taking integer only. Right. Suppose if you are using something D is equal to same thing, 0x something you're doing. And if you are giving here some quote, single quote or double quote, whatever, now the Python will think this as a string actually. Now, if you do a print of D, see, it will take as a string only. If you do a type of D, see, it will show as a string only. If you're not giving, if you're giving any value within the code, either single or double quote, that will be treated as a string. Without that, without anything, it will consider it as an integer like that actually. If you're giving like this, see, E is equal to, you're not giving any quote, lumen, right? It is a syntax error. See, it doesn't understand. So you have to, whenever you're passing any string, you have to always give it either in a single quote or in a double quote or triple single quote or in a triple double quote. Anything is possible. You have to give in that way only. Okay. So now the question comes to, sir, like what is, okay, fine. The Python is not at all taking internally, it is understanding it actually. Fine. Okay. But what is the exact difference between this and suppose something like in a Java? What is the difference actually? So as I said earlier, C or Java, those are static. It means that first you need to define it and define what type of variable it is. Right. And then only what happened, right? It will understand and then finally it will process that variable. Right. So here, if you see it in actually what happened in Java, if you take it very specifically in Java, right, there are basically 4 different types of data types are there. Okay. One, we call it as a byte. Okay. And other we call it as a short. And other we call it an int, and the last we call it as a long actually. These are the 4 different data types are there in Java actually. In Java, 4 different types of data types are there. Now here the byte means basically it is 8-bit actually. 8 bits. 8 bits actually. So it means that suppose you are assigning any value, a is equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Suppose you are giving some value like this. So how the Java will understand that you are passing an 8-bit actually. So it understand that this variable a is of a data type as a byte actually. It means that you're only giving 8-bit value only. So what Java will take, you will consider as a byte value. Oh, it means that the data type of this variable a is not, it's a byte only. As soon as you're crossing the 8-bit, suppose you want to pass 9th bit or 10th bit or 11th bit. Suppose here you're passing a values 1, 2, 3, 4 up to 8 values are sending, right? This is an integer. So how it will store? It will store it as a byte. It will store it as a byte only. You're saying, Rajesh, I want to pass 9, 10, 11, 12 like that. Oh, it means that you are actually passing more than 8 bits. Then what it will do? This will it'll automatically it will be considered as a short actually, automatically. So short is nothing but it is a 16-bit actually. 16 bits. So in short, what happened, right? You have some variable. How the value you could see that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 8 plus 8, 16. So it means that whenever you are passing above 8 values and below 16, so that variable, it will consider it as a byte, as a short actually. So similarly, what happened, right? You are integer or int. So this is nothing but this is 1 byte, guys. This is 1 byte. The short is nothing but 2 byte, right? 2 byte is nothing but 16 bits. 2 bytes, sorry. Similarly, what happened that you are having an 8 integer. What is integer? Integer is nothing but the 4 byte. Even in C also we have integers, 4 bytes actually. We had a short integer, a long integer, and just a integer. 4 bytes actually. 4 byte is what? It is nothing but how much? 4 to the power 8, 32, right? So what you'll have? You will have something like this actually. Suppose you want to pass more than 16-bit value. Like you said, I want to pass 22-bit value. You cannot store the 22-bit value in the short variable, in the short variable data type. You have to only go with the either int with the long. But you know that you are passing like 22-bit value or 25-bit value. It is always better to go with int only, because int will store 32-bit value. Like how it will store? Something like this. A is equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 20. Okay. No, 16. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. How much it happens? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32. See, these are 32-bit value. So you can only, so if you are passing 32-bit value, 32 values, then in Java, it will consider as int. Same thing even in C language also like that. So suppose you are saying that Rajesh, I want to pass more than 32-bit value. Suppose like I want to pass some 50 value, something, then long will be considered. Long is nothing but it is an 8-byte value, guys. Actually. So these are very important, guys. We have to understand before when you start working on any programming, right? You need to understand all these things actually. Particularly on integer, you should understand it actually. So now what you're doing here, you're passing, you want to pass more than 32-bit, 34, 38, or 40 or 50 bits, then automatically the Java will understand, oh, the variable is of a type long. So there you know that variable in 64-bit actually, you could see like this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 46, 47, 48, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60, 61, 62, 63, 64. So like this long integer value you can pass with the help of a long data type in Java. Now the question comes, Rajesh, this is the 4 types are there. Fine, I understood. What about in Python? You are only having an integer, and that too in integer, you are having 4 different types of integer, binary, decimal. How much value max I can pass in Python as an integer? Can I pass only 64-bit or more than? There is no limit, guys, actually. There is no limit. You will say that, Rajesh, how much value I can pass? Say A is equal to, see, pass as much as possible, sir. Python will never give any objection or not throw any value. So I'll do one thing like this. I'll copy like this. Here. See, you are passing so much. See, it will take, still it will take. Don't you see I'm passing more than 64-bit value? Now, if you do a print of A, see, it is printing all the things, sir. So it means that there is no limit at all. Whereas in Java, there is a limit that you can pass an integer a max of 64-bit only, not more than 64 bits actually. It means that you can pass only 8-byte as a maximum integer value type, not more than that. So there's a constraint in Java, or there's a constraint in many other language programming. In Python, there is no constraint at all. He said that how much our value you give, sir, it is all depend upon your RAM, whether your RAM has a capacity to store this much value. If it stores, I will accept it. Otherwise, reject it like that. Right? See, I'm passing so much big value. Now you say that, Rajesh, what is the size, man? What is 1, 2, 3, 4? What is the size actually? Can you give the size actually? Yes. There is one. There is a model by name sys model. You have to first import. You have seen this import function in the first class actually, right? Import sys. Now I'll say sys of. There is a function by name size of the value A. See, it will show you what is its size. I think it's not size of, get size of. I think sys dot get size of size of A. Now it will see 1094 is a value. See, can I pass 1094 bit value? I cannot pass one because maximum is 64 bit only, right? See, here I'm passing it actually. Now you say that A is equal to 10. A is 10. You are passing only two, you are only passing a 2-bit value actually, right? Now if I say sys dot get size of A, now it is showing 14. Now you can ask me, Rajesh, what is it? You're passing only 2-bit value, but here it is showing 14. Why it is 14? You remember, guys, when I explained you about the first class about the variables and all, right? How exactly the variables will be stored in the stack, right? You remember? If you see this image, you will understand it. You remember? I explained this. How the memory management internal happens, how memory management happens internally. Because for every variable, how Python will do not, Python will first create an object like this actually, right? And this object has a 3 types. One is a value, and other is what is the type of the object, and there's RC. So this whole together is nothing but it is actually storing the value for the variable. It is actually storing this complete uh, like this complete object, it is stored for a variable. So this whole object size is nothing but 14 in this case. Suppose you say that, Rajesh, I want to store something like 1000 actually, 1000 value I'm storing. But how many bytes in turn Python is using? Let's see. Get size of A. See, it is using 14 only. Okay, fine. I'll pass some big value like this. Okay, sys get size of, see, it is 16. Okay, it means that based on the size, it automatically does understanding what size of object should be there. It internally it is doing a memory management stuff so that it is able to give the size of that particular object. Okay, here you are giving a size. So here it is not like that 8-bit or 12-bit. It is more than little bit more than that what it is, because that it has to maintain this object, right? To maintain this object, it is actually doing like that. Okay, so this whatever the size of it is giving, it is actually giving the size, or it is written the size of this entire object, where it has a value, where it has object type, and where it has an RC, right? Reference counter, right? That's all. So any doubts you have, guys, still here? Because I just gave a small introduction about int, because there are many things are there. I don't want to really go into in detail. We'll slowly learn all these things. So I need to further get into other different types, right? Python I have to go, complex I have to go, bool I have to go, like that. So is it fine? Integer, you understood?
Yes.
Okay. Any doubts you have, or no doubts? Everything is clear.
No doubts.
Okay, fine. Now next comes is a float actually. Float, you know very well that. So next is a data type is float actually. Now in your program, whenever you want to pass any decimal value, like for example, you know very well that so because we all are staying in our apartments, right? Basically, if you go to your apartment, in your building apartment, right, you have lot of electrical meters and all, right? You might have seen that you have electrical meter, you have a water meter, right? You have many other meters, all right? You have a water bill meter, electrical meter. What else you have? So if you go to that electrical meter, if you go to the electric meter and if you check it, it'll, like it'll show some bifurcation like this, 100 dot like this, it'll show like this. Even if you go to your, like if you go to your current bill actually, or water bill, or a current box actually, there also you could see something like this, like this, like this, right? So it always shows you some dot format, right? And also, like, you know very well that if you go to the petrol bank also, and if you are filling for the petrol bank, like it will be showing you the value of the floats, right? It is something like, like you have observed this actually, that it will be showing something like 100.70. It means that today's petrol price is 100 rupees 70 paisa, right? So you could see that the floats are very much used in our day-to-day activity. We use these floats very well because we have to use it, right? Now, the constraint will come that when you are a Python programmer and you say that there's a requirement comes that, hey, I need to pass some value, man, which is having 100.70, because or else I want to showcase the dollar value. What is today's dollar value, sir? Today's dollar value. in INR. What is it? If anyone knows, can tell me.
79.
0.79. See, you are using a dollar value also. 70.79. What is the dollar type? So 79.79. Yeah, good. Right. Dollar is also increasing. You here also you're having a dot notation. Now you would say that the requirement comes to a program, a Python programmer. Some your customer say that no, I want to display a value which is having the dollar 79.79. You will say that, sir, I don't know how to represent the dot represent because I always use integer. So and you will say, sir, what is there in dot 79, sir? Remove no, make it round as a 17 only. You cannot say like that because if suppose somebody is doing some transaction, I know if he is doing for 20 billion customer, that dot 7 point, how much will go? It will go for crores of rupees, right? You cannot neglect floating point values in the real time, right? Because that floating point is an actual value which will give an increment. You know, in the petrol banks, right? If you give 100.70, suppose mistakenly that owner, right, he will increase to 0.80. You know, it means that for every liter he'll get 10 paisa extra he will get. Suppose he is selling for some 10,000 customer, how much lakhs of rupees he'll earn, right? So you cannot neglect the floating point value. It is very important actually, right? So always you need to use the variable float whenever you are using if you want to pass a value some in the decimal form, right? Now the question comes here that here you have this value, suppose like you have 100.354 or 100, or I will take this dollar, it's a 7.79, right? So this 7 point, the first 779, right? This can be anything, sir. This value, whatever you're saying, it can be a decimal, it can be an octal, right? No, sir. I'm sorry. This should always be decimal only, correct? You cannot have, can you have a binary and all? It is not possible, sir. Right? So this should always be a decimal only, sir. You cannot have any octal or you cannot have any binary and all. It will not accept like that, actually. Correct? So that's how, right? We will see that also. So if I say A is equal to 100, it is taking as a type as an integer only. Correct? It's an integer only. Suppose if I say A is equal to 100.70. See, if I do a type of A, see, it is taken as a float only. Now you can even print that value also. Internet understands it's a float type actually, right? So you cannot have any binary, like for example, if A is equal to 0B111.70. See, it's a syntax error. You cannot pass the float value with either with the decimal or with hexadecimal or anything. Even we will try with the hexadecimal also. It will not take it, right? Whereas it will take as an, you know, right? We have an we have exponential, right? You know, you remember, I remember now, exponential we have. Exponentials we have. Like for example, if I want to pass something like a 1 lakh actually, one with the followed with the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like this, right? So I can pass like this. A is equal to 1 followed with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 dot 0. Print of A. So it is taking, but do you think that actually, suppose I want to pass some 10 crores, so you cannot give like this, right? 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, right? It is very difficult. It is very difficult to maintain also, right? Because a programmer need not to read out to count it how many zeros are there. So instead of this, we can use exponential also. How to use an exponential for the same stuff? Suppose for the same 1 lakh 100 here I have already written. I can use the same exponential by using A is equal to 1 dot E5 like this. And you can just say type of A, and then you can even print also, print it. Yes. Let's see. Guys, these are very important. I mean, whatever I'm saying, because this you will be using heavily in our program actually. 10345.0. You can use this way also. Or else B is equal to 1 dot E5. See, if I do a type of A, see, it is float only. If I do a print of, not sorry, type of B, sir, not type of B. So it is float only. If I do a print of B, see, is it not the same thing? So instead of using that zeros, I can use that exponential, right? Exponential is what? Here, E5 is actually basically what happened? 10 into 10 into 10 into 10 into 10 into 10, 10 times it will do like this, right? So 10 into 10 into is about 1 lakh, one After 1, 5 zeros are there, like that it will take. Correct? So this is E is not but exponential. This we call it as a scientific computation, right? So scientific computation it's right. That's all. So this is all guys about the float actually. Okay, so it is very simple. So always whenever you want to have a dot representation with your integer, you have to always go with the float variable type. Okay, what about the next? The next is nothing but your complex actually. Very important guys. So we will be using heavily the complex data type also in our Python programming. This complex, where it is used much actually in the real time actually. In the real time, this complex or else this is tuple dixter, okay, byte array. Please understand this complex tuple dist byte array. These are heavily used in your data science actually. In your data science, it is heavily used. This data types are heavily used. Complex is also one of the database which is used heavily in the data in your data science or in your artificial intelligence or in your machine learning. You'll be using this data types heavily. Okay. Now, what is this complex data type actually? Sorry. Or if the question might comes to you that where we use this complex data type actually. Like basically, if I want to make you understand, you might have learned all these things in our school days only, like in 9th or 10th and all. We have learned all this. What is complex data type? Maybe today we have forgotten it, but when I start explaining, you might recall a few of the things, whatever we had studied earlier. So this complex data type, where we use basically it is used by the electrical, like electrical or electronics programming, right? There, most of the time we use this complex data type actually. Like suppose for example, if you take a washing machine, right? If you take a washing machine, right? In the washing machine, what happened earlier? What happened? The washing machine come. There's a manual, right? For every washing machine, right? We used to have some buttons, right? Like this start button, on button, rise, sink, like that, and dry. We used to have these buttons actually. So there, based on what is the next step, you use that button and you will try to do it manually, everything. Manually, you try to wash the clothes. Now what has happened? So this who developed this washing machine? This machine was developed by an electrical engineer or an electronics engineer is developed. Now you say that Rajesh, I don't want to make it manually. I want to make it automated actually. I want to make this complete function as an automated actually. What you will do? Oh, you will say that Rajesh, okay, fine. We have a machine. Okay, we'll inbuilt one chip actually. In this chip actually, what happened that you need to do programming actually. So I can't do it. We need to call some Python developer who can program it actually. So when you program it, what happened, right? Through the help of a program, you can do various different operation automatically actually. So when the Python developer has been called to develop some kind of a program to automate the whole, the whole washing, washing the clothes, everything concept, right? He will start writing coding actually. So in that case, what happened that Python developer will use heavily this complex data types actually. So complex data type will be used for heavily. It's not only the with this, even if you see any electronics, like component in your home, like for example, AC is there, or else even your mobile also, you're using a lot of apps, right? Within the app also, there are, the apps are developed either in your Java or either in your, like Android OS programming, everything, right? They are developing, they are internally using all these complex data types actually. So now what happened, right? How you use these complex data types? Like whenever your washing machine, it is the full, right? What it will show? It will show something like this, right? F, like in your LED display, it will show something like this, right? You might have noticed all this F like this. Oh, full. Sometime what happened if there's an error? No, it will show you some error actually with some alphabetical format will show. In this way, you will understand, okay, the washing machine is full or there is no water, you'll be getting beep and everything. How it is everything is happening with the help of a complex data type. So this is one of the use case. If suppose somebody asks you where is complex data type is used, sir, it is used in basically in the electronics stuff, right? There we use it, or else it could be in anywhere, sorry, everywhere the complex data types are used, right? Now, what is this complex data type is all about? This complex data type is nothing but it is a combination of a real number with some imaginary number. So I am imaginary number is equal to nothing but complex number or complex data type. This real value is something what you have values, right? Like this, you have values, right? What the value you are having? Any real number is not, but you're having a positive integer value, right? Like whatever, like whatever, like 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. These are all the real numbers, right? Imaginary number is nothing but it is something like you might have seen like this case. If you remember like this, square root of -1 like this, or else square root of -1 like this, -1. This whole stuff we call it imaginary. You know, even the scientists, what happened, right? For this one, square root of -1, they have given one name, or they are given some symbolic representation. What is the symbolic representation they are given? They are given the symbolic representation as I. You know that. Now, whenever you are multiplying, suppose for example, see, whenever the square root value, suppose you have a square root of 4, the square root of 4 is 2, correct? So this is a real value, real number. Suppose whenever the square value is not returning the positive integer, it is returning some negative integer, that we call it as an imaginary actually. Okay, like for example, you have a square root of 2 multiplied by something like square root of -1, which is equal to square root of -2. Correct, guys? Square root of -2. The square root of -2 is nothing but your how it is represented scientifically. It is represented scientifically as 2i like this. 2i. So -1 is number 2i. This is 2. -1 is I, imaginary number. So this type of a representative, where you see 2i, 1a, or something like a 10.2i, like this, if you see, right? Any number which is having like this way, you can understand this is a complex type actually, like this. Okay. Now what happened that this real value, it is in an integer. This real value can be anything, sir. Even it is an integer 0, 1, 2, 3. It can be in any decimal. It could be a decimal, right? It could be an hexadecimal, or it could be in a binary. It could be an octal, or it could be an hexadecimal. This real number I'm saying. Whereas in imaginary number, it should always be in the decimal format. It cannot be in a binary format. It cannot. This imaginary value, it should always be in a. It will always be in a decimal format. It cannot be in a octal format. It cannot be in a binary format. That is not possible in case of a complex data type. Okay. So similarly, you can even say that Rajesh, square root of 3 multiplied by square root of 1 -1 is what is it? It is 3a only, like that. Whereas what happened, right? The Python developer, like Gode Van Resum, right? Who is a Python developer, right? He saw something like this in your programming, right? In your programming, suppose if you use this something like this 10.1i. When you're seeing the programming, this I is something, sometimes it looks like a L, sometimes it looks like a pipe symbol. It confuses the programmer. That's what the Python developer, like Gode Van Rossum did, right? Instead of using I, he started using J actually. So J, by seeing J, you understand, oh, okay, J is nothing but, oh, J can be, you can arams, you can represent what is J. So whenever you see any value like this, you will understand that this is a complex data type. So what happened, right? What Guru Van Rossum did, right? Instead of I, he started using J. So sometimes some people might ask you, hey, in the complex data type in Python, why we are using J? I will say that, sir, J is actually, it will not confuse us. I earlier, yeah, I is also nothing but it's an imaginary number, or it's a part of the complex data type only. But I will confuse it when by typing. No, sometimes what happens, user will not properly understand whether it's I something like I, or there's a pipe, or it's a L. Whereas J, he can actually understand it very properly. That's the reason J is used in a Python program, not I. Whereas in many other programming language, I is only used actually. And this I, we even call it as a, like, have you heard of iota? Iota? I, we even call this as a iota also. We call this as an iota also. I don't know how much of you know. We call this as a iota. Iota. Okay. Now, how to represent the same thing in our programming? So we will represent the complex data type like this. Actually, same thing. I will use some other variable. A is equal to 20.20 plus 10J. See, this is the complex data type. If I said type A, see, can you see it is as a complex data type, guys? Complex data type? Yes, it's a complex data type because you're using J here. Okay, I can even print also. Print C. See, it will print like this. So whenever it is printed like this in the bracket, you have to understand it is a complex data type. But as I said, right, you can have this, the first real value you can have in any format. Either you can say that Rajesh, I'll be having 0B binary format like this plus 11J. Can we have? Yes, it will accept it actually. Can I have something like this in octal format or in hexadecimal format? Yes, sir, it will take it. No problem. But this 10J or 11J, you cannot have, apart from this, like decimal, you cannot have anything. Suppose you say that Rajesh, C is equal to 10.10, okay, plus 10J. But along with the 10J, assume that I don't want 10J. I will give something like a binary 0 B 1111. Can it takes? No, it's a syntax error. It will not work out like that. Same thing, you cannot have even on an octadecimal or even in a hexadecimal 0 octa and 1 2 3 4 something. It's not possible. Same thing with the hexadecimal. Like, it will not possible. It will throw error. Whereas here the real, the first is the real value plus you are giving imaginary value. So the first should always be any type actually. It could be a decimal, binary, octal, hexadecimal. The second should always be a decimal format like this. So let's come again. 10 C is equal to, what is it, sir? 10.10 plus 10J. It could be a capital J or small j, sir, anything. See, I can give like this also. See, print C. See, it could be capital J, small a, anything actually. Now you say that Rajesh, this is the real value and this is the imaginary value. I want to only print the real value. Oh, no problem, sir. You can print it like this. Print of what? C dot you have to give and you have to say real. See, it will print only that value. And you want to print this imaginary, print of C dot imag, imaginary. See, it will print that imaginary value. So you want to print it separately, you have to use like this way. Is it clear, guys? So I hope that today we have covered few of the important data types, right? So from next class, what I will do, bool, list, str, tuple, we will cover few more things actually. We will cover up to here. And in the last, in one more session, we'll be covering all these things. Thanks. Another 2 more sessions is required to complete our data types, Python data types. Okay, any doubts you have? We can stop the session. Guys, some of you can
Rajesh.
stop. Yeah.
No, I said no, Rajesh.
So you're understanding, right? Whatever I'm teaching you.
Yes, yes.
So you understand, right? There is something interesting to learn. There are many things
Yes,
are there to
why
learn.
not? It is more like a classroom lecture. It is very nice going back to the data types, learning all of them. Thank you so much.
Now you understood, right? How big value the Python can take. There is no never ending, right?
Right.
It can
Yeah.
take an integer as many, whereas there is a constraint in other programming like that's what people
Right.
are shifting from the Java to, like Java to the Python actually otherwise. And Python, you know very well that it is heavily used in a data science actually. So your
Mm-hmm.
next destination should be that how I can enter into a data science field. That is what it should be. And this complex data type is heavily used for everything. All complex, probability programs are resolved by the complex data types only. Okay, fine, guys. So then we will stop it to today's session. Next, we will take on Thursday. Guys, one more thing. Actually,
Sure.
I think we can stop the recording. Okay, I'm